Everything about this game screamed heartbreak. A 27-year drought on the line, a double-digit lead slipping away, and then two calls that nearly changed everything. St. John's didn't just beat Kansas. They survived the refs, the pressure, and a moment that could have erased their entire season. Here's what actually went down. Fast. St. John's had control late, leading by 5 with under 3 minutes left. Then chaos. First, an obvious deflection by Kansas gets ignored, and St. John's is hit with a backcourt violation. Kansas scores immediately. Game tightens. Next, another questionable moment. Kansas saves a ball near the sideline, but there's serious doubt the player reestablished himself inbounds. No whistle. Kansas scores again. Tie game. Momentum completely flipped, and just when it looked like overtime was inevitable, Dylan Darling hits the buzzer beater. St. John's wins 67-65 and escapes. This isn't just another tournament win. This is St. John's breaking a 27-year drought, their first Sweet 16 appearance since 1999. That's generations of players, fans, and pressure. And for a moment, it looked like it was all about to collapse. Because Kansas didn't just come back randomly, they were given life. Late-game officiating in March Madness is always under a microscope, but here's the problem. These weren't minor calls. These were possession-changing, momentum-shifting decisions in the final minutes of a win-or-go-home game. In the tournament, that's everything. Locker room-wise, if St. John's loses that game, those calls become part of program history for the wrong reasons. Instead, they survive, but the questions don't go away. Let's break this down like it matters, because it does. The backcourt violation, this is the big one. If the ball is deflected by the defense, it cannot be a backcourt violation. That's not judgment. That's rule book. So if that call is wrong, and it clearly looks like it was, you're talking about a lost possession, free points for Kansas, immediate momentum swing late in a tournament game. That's massive. Now this one's more subtle, but just as dangerous. If a player steps out and doesn't reestablish properly, that ball is dead. No continuation, no second chance. But instead, Kansas keeps the play alive, scores, and cuts the lead again. That's 2 moments in under 2 minutes where St. John's doesn't just lose control, it gets taken from them. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. When officiating errors stack late in the game, it creates something every tournament tries to avoid. Doubt. Not about effort, not about execution, but about fairness. Now, credit to Kansas, they fought back, made plays, hit free throws, but those calls didn't just help the comeback, they enabled it. This is what makes sports brutal and beautiful, because after all that, Dylan Darling doesn't wait for overtime. He takes the moment and erases the controversy. Game winner. No review can take that away. You already know how this split is going. St. John's fans, relief, pure relief. They'll say, bad calls happen, we still won. Kansas fans, furious, because from their perspective, those calls helped them, but also created chaos in a game they nearly stole. And analysts, this is where it gets loud, because neutral observers hate one thing in March: when the refs become part of the story. And in this game, they absolutely did. Now let's look ahead, because St. John's isn't done. They're facing a no 1 seed next. Best case scenario, this moment becomes fuel. They rally around it, use the chaos as confidence. Nothing can shake us now. They play loose, aggressive, and dangerous. That's how underdog runs are born. This game exposes cracks, late game execution, decision-making under pressure, composure, because here's the truth. Against a top seed, you don't get lucky twice. If they rely on last-second heroics again, that run ends fast. So here's the real question. Did St. John's earn this win, or did they survive something that should have cost them everything? And more importantly, can they clean this up before facing a no 1 seed, or is this where the magic ends? Drop your take below. I want to hear it. And if you're following March Madness at this level, hit subscribe, because this tournament, it's just getting started.